believe my daughter is in a cult here with you, but I refuse to listen or learn anything about what she is involved in. I'm ready to call Dr. Phil for an intervention. Convince me otherwise.
So the first thing is we don't have to convince anyone of anything here, and we don't do that. We have nothing to sell. People come here and remain here because they have experiences of the highest that grow and expand if they follow the instruction that they're given. The only time people don't last here, the only time people leave our school is because they decided not to follow the instruction, often for which they have had many, many experiences, often for which they have demonstrated to themselves the proof that the instruction works. But they become distracted, or they keep poor inner and outer company, or they're convinced, like this person, that some family member or friend comes and says, you're not making any progress when they actually are, and they get swayed by that because the person says, you know, you're in a cult. So we tell people, even though we have a website, we have to have a website to provide information to give people enough faith to come to programs, but we tell people, you have to come and find out for yourself. That's the only intelligent thing to do. And so I would bet that this person speaking who's made this complaint has never been to a single program. These are usually the people who make this complaint that we're a cult. First of all, if you don't know Kate R.G., how do you know whether I'm a cult leader or not, if you have not made the effort to get to know me? So it would be unintelligent to make a judgment about who I am until you've gotten to know me. The intelligent step would be to come here to get to know me, to get to know what we offer, to begin to practice some of the methods that are instructed here before you make a decision about what this is, because you can't know what this is until you come and begin to experience it for yourself. That's the intelligent thing to do. So now let's talk about cults for a minute. So I would say to this person, before you say that this offering here could be a cult, you should examine the cult that you're already in. People make this comment a lot, and it's foolish, and I'm very willing to push back on it right away. You call this a cult, you should look at the cult of the society that you're in. Is it not so that you rush out and you vote for elected officials whom you do not know, based on a media soundbite, or based on something that your family members or friends tell you? I'm going to vote for this person, I'm going to vote for that person. Every single person I have ever asked, which is why we now have another group that we're forming, has told me I have placed my vote without ever knowing or having any contact with the person who has been campaigning for the elected seat. Your brain has been massaged. You've been told what to do by mainstream media. You are already in a cult. Where do you get your habits and notions from about how you should look and act? Could it be that you get them from commercials that you like and others like? Could it be that you fashion your identity on celebrity movie stars who play roles in movies? You know, they're actors. You have to understand that. They're not the characters whom they play. You don't know these people. But isn't it true that you begin to fashion your notions, your understandings about life based on what you're fed by popular media, by mainstream media, by peer pressure? So I would submit to this person, he or she is already in a cult. First examine the cult that you're in before you call this a cult. So that's the first thing. It's an unintelligent statement to make. It's completely unintelligent. And I will have this debate with anyone. You think this is a cult? Examine the cult that you're in. Examine the many understandings that you grew up with and that you get from boyfriend, husband, work associates, family, friends that you follow without ever even questioning. Even now, you may call yourself an adult, but you follow these understandings just because they're popular or because you want to fit in. And so you agree to do things that you've never even examined. You're already in a cult. People come here to get out of the cult that they're in, truly speaking, is what happens here. We free people from cults, is what we do here. By bolstering their power to engage their own independence of will and judgment, by helping them to expand their critical thinking. We show people how to come here and approach this as a science, to test everything first in the laboratory of their own existence. We have a 3 test of the guru that we insist everybody utilize over a period of time before deciding to actually follow myself or any of the instructors here. So we're very, very careful about this. And so this person clearly doesn't know what he or she is saying. And again, I'm sure the person has never been here to make this kind of a statement. Now, let's talk about Dr. Phil. So, do you know who Dr. Phil is? Are you aware that the Dr. Phil show, that man playing Dr. Phil is an actor? He's being paid to act as Dr. Phil. In the entertainment business, you can use any title that you want. It's legal. You can call yourself a doctor when you're not. You can call yourself a judge when you are not. You can call yourself a surgeon when you're not. You can call yourself an attorney when you're not, because it's entertainment. And so legally, these shows are scripted where actors are playing roles. So for example, I happen to know, because I was in that business, Dr. Phil is not a doctor. And if you examine who he is, he has no credentials for the role in which he plays on the show. That's entertainment. The interventions, quote unquote, that you see on this show are not the way actual interventions take place. The intervention is being shown to entertain people, just like Jerry Springer, right? So Jerry Springer had the shock jock show for years. Now he has a judge show. All of a sudden it's Judge Jerry Springer. But Jerry Springer is not a judge. Jerry Springer has never been a judge. It's entertainment. So again, this person is brainwashed in my view, because if you're recommending or even commenting that I'm going to call Dr. Phil for an intervention, you don't know what you're talking about, because you don't know that that man is an actor playing a role. He's not a doctor. You don't know that interventions that you see on that show are for your entertainment. They have nothing to do with the truth about the way in which interventions unfold. Zero. So I would say, stop being stupid. Get smart. Use your intelligence. Come and have an experience for yourself. Get to know who we are. Get to know those in our spiritual community. Follow for a while. Engage the practices as instructed. And then you decide whether they're useful or not, depending upon what you want with respect to your spiritual growth, would be the intelligent way to do it. But not just to make comments because your family thinks this way, or your friends or your lover think this way. And the other thing I want to say in defense of this person is I understand one thing. There are people who call themselves spiritual leaders who are not. They're not qualified, and they have hurt people. And unfortunately, in today's age, there are a lot of people who are hanging out shingles. I'm a spiritual guru, I'm a spiritual teacher, come and follow me. And essentially what they do is they have little or nothing to offer, and they leave people very dry, and they take people's money. And then you have mainstream media that loves stories like this, and they're not concerned whether the stories are true or not. You have to understand something. Mainstream media is also entertainment. If you look at the legal definitions for these networks, they are providing entertainment. That takes them off the hook from actually reporting any actual news. So you've got to do your own due diligence, because mainstream media is entertainment. It has very little with reporting what has actually taken place. They put on their show to report what they say is the news, to titillate and to entertain. And so when mainstream media picks up a story, such and such guru molested people sexually or took their money, you know, this goes viral on the internet, and then people read this and they become frightened, and they're reticent to then come anywhere where there's a spiritual leader who is being focused on. And I completely understand that. However, let me use this example. Let's say you have to drive 100 miles to work each day. Right, no mass transportation to where you work. 100 miles up, 100 miles back. You need a good car. It's going to last you a while, right? So you go out and you buy a car, it turns out to be a lemon, right? The dealer who sent you the car, who sold you the car, turns out they're a total scam. But you still need a car. So you got suckered, but you're still going to go out and find a better car, are you not? Because you need a car to get back and forth to work. So people should use that analogy that I've just given, because it's the exact same thing with respect to the spiritual field. You found a bad teacher, poor leadership, or maybe leadership that harmed you. I'm very sorry for that. But if you really want permanent spiritual transformation, leading to liberation, then don't stop just because you had a bad experience. Find a better teacher. Find a better school. Do better at vetting the leadership in the school before you dive in. And that's what we do here. We have a 3-test of the master. We train people how to test the methods that are taught. We say test first. Don't dive right in. Come in and be with a little bit of faith. You have to have some faith, but not blind faith. Come in with enough faith and enough critical thinking to say, well, okay, let me just slow down and see how this is going to work and test this in the laboratory of my own existence. And this is the way we approach every student who comes through the door. That's intelligence. We approach this as a science. That's our practice.
Thank you so very much.
Sure. Thank you. Nam